This is the Local Real Estate Developer Podcast, where we share the stories of locals across the country who took that empty lot or that old building and turned it into something awesome that their community needs. I'm Kristi Kandel, and I've been a real estate developer my entire career. My co-host Raphael is a commercial broker, and together we're sharing the stories of locals making a huge impact on their communities. And what we've learned is you don't need millions in the bank or decades of experience to get started. You just need the confidence, tools, and the right people around you. This podcast is your chance to gain the confidence to get in the game, because real estate development isn't just for the insiders anymore. It's for people like you too.
Welcome to the Local Real Estate Developer Podcast. I'm your co-host, Raphael. I am a broker, investor, and real estate developer located here in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm here with my co-host, Kristi Kandel. Good to see you as always.
Hey, good to see you. Yeah, I'm a real estate developer, investor, and I teach locals how to become developers in their own community. And today's guest, I found just scrolling Instagram and was like, wait, what? You just bought what and are doing what? This is super cool. So then I reached out to her. So Jacqueline DiMaggio, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
No, it's great to see you, and hope you're staying warm. I imagine where you're located, it's probably a little chilly, but we got a little cold front in our neck of the woods as well. But
yeah, I think it's about 10 degrees here.
There you go.
A little cold.
Yeah,
I was cold this morning in the low 70s.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, you're pretty lucky. I won't say anything about that though.
Well, thanks for joining us today. We're really excited to learn a little bit more about the project you got going, and we talked a little bit offline about it, but I'm really excited to kind of dive into the logic behind you deciding to take on this particular endeavor. But before we get started, what we typically like to do is learn a little bit more about the person that we're interviewing. So if you don't mind kind of sharing a little bit about your background and maybe what got you interested in real estate and particularly in development.
Awesome. Yeah, of course. So it's been a very interesting last, 10 years. I got married 10 years ago, and we started just doing house hack. That was our first project in Chicago. Years go by, and we kind of build both our residential and, hospitality Airbnb portfolio. And about 3 years ago, I was dabbling with residential interior design. I left my W-2 and started managing our properties full time. And then I was like, you know what, let's just try this. So I started doing it, and unexpectedly, sad part of the story, we lost my brother. And during that time, while I was doing the residential interior design, we had started, or actually it was coming to an end, with the builds out in this area done by a local developer, very cookie cutter. All the houses were the same. There's about 30 of them. Same exterior, same interior, same finishes, everything. And I found myself just submerging myself in creating something different. So using what we had, but making it stand out. And I realized that's what this area kind of needed, and it worked. Very popular. Both my Airbnbs are themed, so I do things differently.
Love it. Can you tell us about the themes? Because I thoroughly enjoyed hearing about how you came up with them and what you put inside.
Yes. So background, I'm Italian and love the mobster movies. But yes, go Italians.
Go Italians. There you
go. So I said to my family, I want to do one house like mobster themed. And, they were like, what? Why? And I'm like, I think it could be really cool, but not gory, guns a-blazing type, movie themed, and, the famous mobsters, and then put a prohibition room inside her. And they're like, yeah, I guess, but you do you. They didn't get it. So I ran with it. I think I have 8 bookings in December. Families, yes, in the middle of winter out here, it's hard to get bookings, and I get it is around the holiday, but I mean, even well before the holiday and well after, all of December, I'm booked. So the other one was a cowboy Western theme. My dad loves John Wayne, so he had a ton of extra calendars and books and magazines, and I was like, done. Can I just take all these? And he's like, well, will I get them back? I'm like, They were in boxes in your closet. Like, you didn't even use them. And they're like from the year 2000. Why do you want a calendar from the year 2000 back? So I created a whole, theme of John Wayne and the Cowboys, and that turned out really well. Submerging myself in that, and seeing how well it, went, I was like, you know what? I have to keep going with this. Like, what can I do with it? And spoke to my family. And the hardest part about this area is everything's wetland. So unless you have what the previous developer had, which was thousands of acres that he bought for like $1 back in the day, you can't really do much, with the wetland. So kind of ventured off, and we thought maybe Tennessee over the last year. And we found a house found about 30 acres, and it fell through because they told us it would cost about $1 million to recreate the road. And we were like, and we're done. We're going to walk away from this. So our contractor out here, bringing us back here, he really didn't want us to leave. And it was very evident because he probably sent me this listing about 2 or 3 times. And he was like, I really think you should check it out. I really think your dad and you guys would love it. You guys would love it. And I'm like, what am I going to do with 200 acres? That was my answer forever. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with that many acres. So no joke, we pulled up and all of us just knew. And it was we put the bid in literally later that night. And I think on my birthday, we got the acceptance for it. So I was like, happy birthday to me. And what did I just do to myself? So that's kind of how it happened. So it's been about, 10 years of real estate, but the last 3, we've been really trying to figure out like what this area needs. And I think my ideas hopefully will come to life and will work out the way that I'm kind of envisioning them. So that's that.
I love it. Can you maybe give us a high level vision of, okay, you've got 200 acres. You said something about wetlands. What can you do? What's on the property? What do you envision happening overall? And just start from there.
Okay. So there are 4 structures on there already. There's an old farmhouse, originally built in 1900. There is a 40 by 70 pole barn. There's an old hay barn, and there's an old tool shed. The original owners kept everything in amazing shape. So we are very lucky with that. The goal here, there is a creek that runs through basically the entire, the center of the entire 200 acres. So there are, of course, things that you have to, all the rules, you have to stay away a certain amount of feet and all of that. But that really wasn't, our goal is, and what I want to reiterate is, because it's not to create 300 homes and to essentially, in my mind, that's what ruins land like this, is some bigwig developer coming in and taking away from the farmland that's 86 acres of this right now. And so we really want a place for our family as well. So I think we're all going to eventually, after we build everything else out, we're going to probably build a couple of our own homes on the outskirts of the land. And the goal is to keep what we have and create it into the new stuff. So pole barn, we want to do half of a rec area. So we'll put in really cool games, maybe golf simulator, those types of things for the families that do come. And then the other half, we want to do a workout facility. So the health portion is very important to myself and my family. And we kind of want to utilize what we have and upgrade it. The barn I have a lot of ideas for, but it's teetering on, I don't want to turn commercial and have to get those types of licenses. So I would love for it to be more of the experience for the Airbnb guests once we have the homes developed, that we could do some sort of farm to table and utilize the land with greenhouses and the things that we can build on it. Locals, I think another major thing is getting the locals. I know that might be down the road in our conversation, but the small businesses, it's a very small town. So to be able to incorporate yoga instructors and massage therapists and all of that and tie it all into the health portion, that's kind of the goal. We're so in the beginning that I know I have these like big ideas, and I just hope that, the town and the people will kind of stand by us and help us out along the way. But yeah, so that's that.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, one of the unique things, I mean, that's one of the cool things about development too, is most of the time it's a phased approach. So you take on the first step, you develop a property or two or whatever you decide as far as your first phase. And then I think you get buy-in when people see results. So there's a lot of people out there that like to say things and say, oh yeah, I have these grandiose plans, but then for whatever reason, it doesn't actually take place. So I think that by you taking initiative and by you showing the community, hey, I'm wanting to do something here that's really cool and unique, and here's all the things that I've done to get to this point, and now I'm taking the next step to be able to develop something so it actually as activated. I think you'll get some buy-in for people. Because again, I think
sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. No, I just want to say that I think people get behind people who are actually drivers, people who show initiative and show what manifesting a reality. So I think by you showing this in the early stages, I think it's a benefit. So
I think it's the one challenge is it's such a small town that the first thing that happened, and we have our contractor who was very much our voice through a lot of this, and just reassurance, like, don't worry, like, I'll let them know you guys are good people. This isn't about, destroying the land, because it was very much talk of who are these people? What are their names? Where are they from? And the second that people hear, oh, they're from Chicago, it's definitely a little pushback.
City slickers coming in to ruin our community. Yep.
And the woman that owned it, she's actually the daughter of the homeowners, or of the original. So she was very attached to it. It was very emotional. We met with her. My mom and I went, and so we have the whole backstory of the home. She does not know everything we're doing because I did not have the heart. It was more or less, we're going to preserve as much of this as we can, for the farmer. We've already discussed things with the farmer. He knows, he's on the board. So that's another thing, is he was well aware before, and he's just like, as long as you get everything approved. And our goal again is to not take down all of his corn and soybean fields. Like, it's to take some of them, obviously, to create what we want, but the whole point of it is really for guests to come and experience the corn and the background, them waking up and the bluffs and all of that, so it's not to really hurt people's feelings, but it might be a little bit of a challenge. So hopefully you're right.
It's inevitably going to be a little bit different, and change is hard for people. I grew up in a small town of 2,500 people, and any amount of change that would happen my dad would be very anxious. I'm like, just relax, it'll be fine. And like, you just ease them into it and help them understand along the way. And the more they get to know you, they go, okay, you have good intentions. It's a well thought out plan. So you said Airbnb, is it going to be sectioned off to say this is this type of small cottage cluster in these areas for these different types? And how many do you envision potentially overall that could be built?
Right. So the house right now will sleep 6. We're obviously upgrading it all, but there is a section that we want to, our contractor is also a hunting guide. And so he mentioned, this would be great. And I'm like, but don't kill all of our deer, because that's what makes it so pretty, right? So I was like, yeah, let's, my dad, of course, had his conversation man to man with him, right? And so the goal is to do 2, because once no one's hunting, you're probably he said around 6 hunters he could take out. So what we would do is the same thing. We'd do like another 6-person type home, which to me is a little larger. And then the other homes, I think we would want about 3 more of the smaller homes. As I said, the goal is not to do a ton of homes. So we would probably have a total of 5. And then we want to do a pond. So if we can, have that be in the background, the way that I'm envisioning it is kind of the front of the home where the road would wrap around would be where the creek is. And then the backs of their homes would kind of face all of the corn and all of the bluff. So I have this, hopefully we can make it happen, but everything would be near those things. Because then the goal for us when we build our homes as a family compound is to do it on the outskirts where we could also do another pond and then our own homes. So I would say probably five homes total. So the goal also, which I wanted to bring back, was that there is a local church and they have a lot of weddings there. It's very small. And so again, like I don't want to do the commercial aspect of it, but if we can somehow upsell to the people that plan, the weddings and such, that everyone can stay as a family on our account, at all of our, and rent it out for the whole weekend after they get married and things like that. There's different ways and things I'm kind of looking into, but there's just so many different options.
I'm just totally curious because you do have a lot of land, and I've talked to different friends about creating glamping sites. Is that at all on the table to have any kind of glamping site and or hookups that people could temporarily come and go? Or is that just like a...
My wife wants to do that so bad. And I think it's so funny because she is not the type to ever say, let's go glamping. So I'm like, you want to create something and you probably won't even go and experience it yourself. Like we have to stay in nicer places. We have to stay in full blown homes when we go places. So I'm not against it. I think in my mind, I just don't know enough about it. So it would almost be, I would probably have to reach out to others and maybe team up, or I have no idea. I'm not saying no to it, but I'm also viewing it as right now, the only person doing anything with this is me. And I love my family, but the amount of help that I do get is more like support and just, Jackie, you know what you're doing, keep doing it. And I'm like, okay, got it.
That didn't add any more hours to my day or take anything off my plate.
Exactly. You get the emotional, at a person.
Thanks.
That's why I laughed when you first contacted me. You're like, we talked to other developers. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not a developer. Like, I'm just an interior designer. And then you were like, no, you're kind of going to be a developer now. And I'm like, okay, I am. And my family's like, I didn't think of it that way. I'm like, neither did I. But I guess I am.
And that's where we accidentally get into development. And it's just like what we hope to do through this is that by sharing the stories is that people more intentionally get into it and don't realize by us doing that and us doing that, we're a developer. It's that people are able to more intentionally do it and do it in their community that they want to preserve, that they want to just enhance and bring just a new spin on it and go, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I'll be more confident. I promise.
Yeah, and to realize that you can achieve what you set out to. I think there's a lot of people out there that have this misrepresentation about what development is. I think they think that you have to have this huge balance sheet. You have to be like this institutional level person to take down these large office developments or multifamily developments. But development can be as small as even flipping a house. I mean, really, you're changing something from what it currently is to something else, and that's development. So I think that it's important to kind of reinforce that idea so that people don't get scared away from taking on their project that maybe could change the trajectory of their life. Because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that talk themselves out of things, and it's unfortunate because if they just decided to do it, maybe you have some hard road early on because no project is perfect. You're going to face challenges, but once you get to the other side, you realize, wow, I'm glad I did that because if I didn't, then I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I think that's important to kind of have that mentality.
I agree. Yep.
So one thing I'm curious about is you've alluded to the fact. So you're originally from Chicago, is that correct?
Yes.
And you have decided to take on a project in a completely different market. I think you had alluded to the fact that I guess your parents had a house somewhat nearby, but not necessarily in this particular area. So how has it been building partnerships in that local market? Because I think that's one area that I've yet to explore just because I've only ever done projects in my local market where I have the connections that I built through being in brokerage. So I'm kind of curious how you've been able to leverage some of those relationships that you've built to try to take down this project.
Yeah, of course. So Brent is our contractor. And years ago when the house that my parents built, he came in to do an extra project. And I still remember his story. He pulled up to the house and he goes, I'm not going to be able to do a good enough job. Like, because this.
Hey, can we chat for a second? Since you're listening to this podcast, you're already thinking like a developer. You see the potential in your community, and you're ready to do more than just watch from the sidelines. That's exactly why we created the Local Developer Vault. It's a free resource full of tools, templates, and trainings to help you take action. And here's the best part. When you sign up, you'll also get access to our local real estate developer community. It's full of people just like you who are making real things happen in their neighborhoods. So don't just listen to the stories. Become the next one that we spotlight on our show. The link in the show notes to unlock the vault and join our movement.
My parents have very good taste, and like they're just the way. So he initially like freaked out and kind of like, sir, are you sure you want me to do this? And he's like, well, can I show you what I want done? And they did like a outdoor like kitchen type thing. And he, basically my dad was like, just pick whatever you want. The guy's like, what? And my dad's like, yeah, I trust you. You see what's in the inside. He's like, just kind of, bring it to the outside and make it an outdoor kitchen. And so Brent was like, okay, are you sure? Like, what if you don't like something, And my dad's like, I'll like it. Don't worry about it. Just get it done. So as that started the relationship of my dad just trusting this random guy that he got his name from someone else to build a whole kitchen, outdoor kitchen for him, it turned into he has done everything for us. He watches our house when we're in Chicago, anything with our other two rentals, the mobster house and the cowboy house. He's kind of our maintenance guy for that, helps us with everything over there. And so that's why, in the beginning of the story, when I said he kept messaging me the same, when this listing came up, he kept messaging me about it. And it was because we were looking in Tennessee, and lo and behold, he just didn't want us to leave. He's turned kind of like into a brother of mine. Like just, I probably talk to him more than I talk to my brother right now, to be quite frank. But yeah, he's the man around here. Everyone knows who he is. You say Brent, they're like Jacobson. I'm like, yes, Jacobson. And so he got us, he got me a one-on-one with the farmer. The farmer took us around the land. So he's the one that can do everything, and he knows people. So it was a no-brainer for us, because if we were to actually do something in Tennessee, we would have literally all needed to get up, change our lives, and move to Tennessee. So this actually works out better, in my opinion. It's colder. I'm not really a big fan. I never wanted to build a second house in Wisconsin, to be quite frank, but it's absolutely breathtaking out there. And I'm so glad that, he was so adamant about us going and take a look at it, because he's our go-to. So that's how we do it, with just him being around for the last, I guess, 7 years, and just being very reliable, and he's very honest too. That's another thing. It's very difficult to find workers and people that don't just jack up the prices. He knows we'll take care of him. So he's honest with everything that he does. So it's a good relationship for sure.
That's good to hear. That's hard to find. So it's always good when you find those people that you can rely on in that capacity, especially when you're away from the site, because, it's hard to, take someone's word for it if you don't necessarily trust them. And obviously you guys have built that relationship. That's great.
Exactly.
Definitely. So, regarding the next phase of the project, like what are you guys, where are you guys at currently? You described some of the pieces of what you guys are trying to accomplish. Have you looked to start on the main structure, and then kind of building out from there?
Yeah. So the phases of which we were viewing it was the farmhouse first, and then the pole barn. And then we're currently trying to get approval for a pond. So those are the three main things, because we have no idea how long it'll take for that approval. So while we're upgrading and doing everything with the pole barn, I'm not kidding you, it's just a hunk of metal and some wood, and not even all of it is concrete. So we'll have to have that added and stuff. And it's just, this is not going to be something that is just done in, a month. It's going to take us years to get everything, to where we want it. But the goal for us was, if we can have one home and the things that people can like will draw them to come here. That was my kind of, decision, was pole barn with games in it and health, to work out, and then a pond to play in. So if you could have those things, and of course, your hot tub and your sauna and things like that and all into place. But then after that would definitely be probably the hunting cabin, and, go from there. I think that the barn is something that might take a little bit longer to figure out exactly what we want to do, just because developing this land and creating walkways and, places to go hiking, it's so much land that it's very overwhelming. So that's why we were like, just tunnel vision on 3 things, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
You have to do that. I mean, there's no way that you can't eat an elephant in one bite. That's what I always tell people. It's like, you've got to slowly make your way to the finish lines.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is, I think we're approaching this a little differently than a lot of like big developers. We're not looking for a lot of people to invest. That's not like, we're not looking for people to help. We're, my parents are older. My dad doesn't trust anyone. And I don't blame him, because he's 77 years old and he's just set in his ways. So we're trying to, do a lot of this upfront with just our own money and using it from our other rentals. So we're taking, the money that we make from there, we're bringing it over there, and then eventually we'll get a loan, but to do obviously more of it. But I think we're doing that a little differently too. I know you didn't ask that question, but.
Well, no, but it's good. It's good insight, because I think there's a lot of people out there too that think that they have to go to the bank and get a bunch of money, a loan, and then leverage the property to the hilt to get the project done. But there's other approaches to take as well. And I've always told people leverage is a double-edged sword. Like it can be beneficial and when things are doing well, when things are going well, but in a situation where the economy turns and you're not experiencing the performance that you expected, it could really hurt you. So you got to be cautious with how you approach debt, because it can be, it's not always the greener option or the best option. So, I mean, just being prudent about how you take it on. It seems like you guys are doing that. So.
Yeah. And you've got your cash flowing businesses on the other end, and then you're funding this as you go. And it's more common. It's not like Instagrammable, and it's not this amazing, like, oh, look at what we did so fast, but it's also life, and it's not putting more stress and pressure on yourself than you need to. Like, all of this too is about quality of life and getting out of that W-2 and creating a different life, right?
Yes. Yeah. The less stress for Jackie's always good.
Less stress for Jackie.
My family knows that for sure.
Hey, well, in Italian households, it could be kind of, there's a lot.
That's why they choose to just let me do my thing, because they know.
That's funny.
So when, based on the bootstrapping and stuff for that first phase, once you get the pond, and clearly you don't know when you get permits, is that like, hey, in 2 years we want to hopefully have the first ones open and going, or is it potentially a little bit sooner? What do you think for getting the first ones in?
I think what's hard about this is Brent is one person. So he does have, another group of their family contractors, and they're not looking to do big time houses. They're not looking to do project after project. So he kind of got them on board with, hey, this is coming up, right? Let's get this going. We have to stay on top of him a little bit more. It's harder because this is so different than Chicago, as I'm sure it's different from other states as well that move just so much faster. Doesn't mean he's bad at what he does. He's very, very good at what he does. It's just more or less like, okay, when we're not up and running, we're not making money. And this is definitely different, because I'm also the type that doesn't want to have that home and possibly the hunting cabin up and running, but then we've got a ton of hammering and sawing and so it's going to be very strategic in how we do it, and how we approach it. I think that ultimately, if we can get, a house done every year, that would be great. I know that sounds like it's forever.
No, it's
but,
really not. I've got similar contractors and relationships in smaller towns and communities, and that just kind of is the way it is. And they're going to call in all the different people, and maybe sometimes you'll be like, "Cool guys, it's like a barn raising party, and we're just all going to put all hands on deck to help them with stuff that isn't super technical and move things along." I mean, that is what it is. And then the grand scheme, like you said, it's a deep relationship that you've had for 7+ years now, and clearly they want to be there. They've got the local connection, so a little bit is like, all right, let's take a breath from city and how we would normally do things, while also going, okay, like in my case it'd be like, all right, Dave, Jose, a little pep in your step right now. But for the most part, then it's like, okay, like they have sometimes they just need help prioritizing, but it'll happen.
And you'll find in development, like, just things take a while. I mean, we bought a property here and locally that it's been vacant for almost a year. Like we occupied half the rear space, but we've had the front space vacant for a while, and it needs a lot of work, and we're going to have to take it on. And we were doing other projects that took priority, and so we haven't had the time to be and really resources to put into the front space. So it's just kind of sitting there. Yeah, we secured it. We have a new roof on it, and it's at least in protected in that regard. But as far as the actual build out, it's going to be pretty significant for about 2,100 square feet. We're going to try to get a restaurant tenant in there, but I mean, it's going to cost us a lot of money. So we just got to pick the resources together. The areas continue to improve, and so in the next few years, maybe in the next year, I'm thinking by this next year, the rents are going to be justifiable for what we have to put into it, and so that's kind of the equation that you have to always calculate in your head. It's like, how are we going to make this work?
And permits.
Oh, yeah. That's not even talking about permits.
Yeah.
I'm not even in that category yet.
Permits, piece of cake. That's my bread and butter. Goodness. All right. So you've had this, and clearly there are all sorts of challenges that come along the way. What's one thing, or maybe a couple things that you do to just stay motivated when all of a sudden you're like, whoa, got that sucker punch, or things aren't moving as quickly as I want?
So
you just go out there and scream really loud?
I will say I've had to learn what taking deep breaths really does mean, because just being in the hospitality industry, it's already, it takes a lot for me, because my personality is not always peachy. Like, my sister is very bubbly, and I'm like, I wish that sometimes you would just want to join the team and you could handle all the guests. I love it though. I do love it. But the portion that I love is the creativity. So what keeps me going, and literally what wakes me up in the mornings, is knowing that okay, let's be creative. What tile am I going to do? How am I going to do this fireplace? Where are we going to do this? Oh, wallpaper. Okay, like, what's next? Like, that's kind of what keeps me going, is just knowing that I'm creating these places that most people love. And that's what keeps me going with this project, is knowing that this is different. This is farm. I'm very masculine, modern when it comes to my design approach. So I'm putting that in, but I'm also keeping in mind that it's a 1900s farmhouse. So I need to bring back some of that, farm feel. But yeah, I would say what keeps me going is definitely just the creativity. It's my jam. I love it. It's what keeps me going. So that would be that.
That's awesome. Yeah, and with this property, it seems like you'll have plenty of opportunities to exercise your creativity over the next probably 5 to 10 years. So that's pretty awesome.
I don't know though.
Yeah, I don't know though.
10 years.
Yeah, let's shrink the timeline.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's awesome. But so we'll just give you some perspective on the audience that we typically are attracting is those individuals who are somewhat newer in their real estate career, whether that's their existing, working at a W-2 job, or maybe they themselves have been in real estate in some capacity, whether that's brokerage or property management, or maybe they've been in the construction side, but maybe working for another firm, and they're looking to take on their first real estate development project. What advice would you give to newer entrants into the development space about the process, and maybe add some motivation regarding that? Because I think that there's always that point in time where you have to kind of make the decision whether you're in or out, and sometimes all it takes a lot of times is just a word or maybe a phrase or maybe a, just a conversation point that they hear that kind of takes them over the edge to take that next step. So I'm kind of curious if you could share what your thoughts are.
I actually just did my 3rd episode on this exactly what I'm going to say. It's all about the feeling. I will honestly say that the gut feeling you get when you actually go and start visiting and looking at the land and things that you want to do, follow it, and then do the research. Like, everyone's always like, research, right? And you're like, oh, I found this perfect land. Then you get to it and it's not there. Again, we felt it when we were in Tennessee. And then, there was just parts of me that I felt guilty because my family, I felt like they were a part of it, but it was because they were my biggest cheerleaders. And they were like, yeah, we'll do it. Sure, we'll follow you. But I don't think they actually felt that, which then made me not really feel it either. And then it just completely was solidified with the $1 million new driveway to get in there. But when we drove up to this, it was like, holy crap, this is it. And then we did the research and we made sure that there was enough. There wasn't too much wetland. There was enough for us to build on, kind of going around and seeing the other aspects of the land and stuff. So I would have to say, yes, definitely your gut feeling, and then do the research.
Interesting your gut. I was just talking to someone yesterday, and 3 properties they were looking at fell through. And they're like, there's a 4th one that's there. And she told her fiance, she's like, yo, if this one falls through, clearly the universe is trying to tell us something. And I think just listening to that and like, instead of having so much friction and pushing the boulder uphill, just going, maybe not. Whereas there was something else that we went and looked at yesterday for a potential project. And immediately our eyes all lit up and we're like, oh my gosh, we're getting the goosebumps. Like, this could work. This could be it. So who knows? Again, like you said, now we've done a little bit of research. Now we're doing the deep dive and who knows where it lands. But yeah, I think just getting out there and actually seeing and putting your boots on the ground, which Raphael, maybe even you with different clients that come to town, like they come and they see the market and you take them on market tours, right? And kind of let them get a feel for the lay of the land.
Yeah, no, and each client's different, and each person's different. So, you've got the large. I do a lot in retail, so I work with local clients and regional clients and national clients that come to town in different areas, and so all their needs are going to be slightly different. Now, with the clients that I work with, and even myself as a developer, is I'm big into walkability. So, like, if an area is walkable or is trending in that direction, that's an area that I kind of want to look at more closely, and that's kind of the feel, right? You walk around those areas. You see, families walking around. There's little shops that are opening up or little restaurants popped up, and you start thinking, oh, okay, this area is starting to trend in a direction that could lead to a more vibrant retail corridor. And so that's just innate, just gut feeling by you walking the streets. And I always tell people because there's a lot of people out there that, they do all the research and they listen to Bigger Pockets, so they go on all these different podcasts or listen to all these different podcasts, and they always try to find the next Excel spreadsheet that's going to break down all the scenarios and everything. And I'm like, guys, like, in my opinion, if you can't make sense of it by just writing on a napkin, then don't do it. Like, why are we having this exercise where it's like, well, if I sell this building in 5 years for a 7 cap rate versus a 6.5 cap rate, it's like, you cannot predict the future. This idea of making these ridiculous models, it's not realistic, and it keeps you from making decisions, and ultimately you lose opportunity because of it. So I'm of the mindset, keep it simple, the KISS model of making, decisions, and, it served me okay thus far, and until it doesn't otherwise, I'll just keep doing it. So
I agree. I think we overcomplicate how things go, and where it's like, no, we don't want some complex system and waterfalls and this and that. If you can't understand it, if you can't explain it to someone else, no, why do that? Like, you're only setting everything up for complications and miscommunication or misunderstandings. And
absolutely,
I agree. I do think it's interesting too, because I've had actually family members, as my parents are older, and they're like, why are you doing this? Like, and why here? Like, why in Camp Douglas? And I'm like, to be honest with you, this is exactly what families sometimes look for. That it's not always about, we're about 30 minutes away from the Wisconsin Dells. So a lot of when we have families come to our other homes, they take a day and they go there. But the amount of times that I've had messaging that we didn't even end up going to the Dells because we were having so much fun with the pond behind the houses, that, the beach and all the toys that you have and all of these fun things and the kayaks and all. People look to get away from the walkability. So although it is very important with a lot of these, hospitality and a lot of the industries, I think sometimes just the get away from it, but then we still create different things for them to do in the land, which is walkable, but it's just not shopping and, high-end retail stores and things like that around us. It's going to be different. They're going to go on nature walks. They can maybe tell their kids, leave the phones at home. We're going for a walk. We're going to go kayaking. So it all kind of, intertwines with different approaches, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure the family members who are asking, why'd you do this, have never been to the area that you're at. So they don't really know that this is a thing. I mean, it is definitely a thing. There's a market for it. So
they've been to the area. They're just pessimistic and they don't understand. They don't get it.
They can't see the vision yet. Yeah.
Why would you want to do all this work?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not want to do the work? Because I don't want to work a W-2 for the rest of my life. Like, this is what I want to do.
Well, and what's always funny too, because people talk about investing in different, whether it's stocks, bonds, whatever. But obviously, choosing real estate is one that I value, and obviously, it seems like all of us do. And what I find about real estate can be forgiving over time. So even if you make mistakes, as long as you're in an area that has some of those characteristics that we're talking about, right? It's a vibrant area, or it's one of those getaways that's very popular for people to go to, or in a lot of ways the demographics are shifting in a positive direction. It's going to be forgiving. So that's one of the reasons I like real estate a lot, is because you're going to inevitably make mistakes. There's going to be issues that arise during these processes, and you're not going to be a straight and to the right model all the time. There's going to be dips and curves and all this other stuff. But over time, if you kind of have the right approach, it's going to go in that way, in that direction. So I thought I'd share that.
It gets to be more than spreadsheets too, to where, okay, I buy a stock. That's the most boring thing in the world to me. I'm like, great. So now what do I do with my time? Whereas with real estate and development, we get to create something, like you said. You get to create physical places and structures and experiences where people are going to have memories for generations. And like, whoa, that part's cool.
Yes, my dad has always been stocks, because of the same reason. He partnered with someone once and they screwed him over, and he has never partnered with anyone ever again except me, because he started seeing our success in the Airbnb and he's like, you want to do this? And I was like, you sure you want to do it? He goes, well, what am I going to have to do? I'm like, nothing, please, nothing. Just be the 50-50 partner and just be my dad. And so this is if you count the 2 houses, this would be the third thing we've teamed up on. But yeah, I mean, when people ask him what he's doing and how crazy, like, you're crazy, how old are you? And to his uncle and to his, his brother, they're all saying that. And he's just like, God, what else am I going to do? I'm sitting watching TV. I'm retired. Like, this is fun. So I'm like, all right, as long as you're on board.
You're building legacy with your family. I mean, I feel like that's half the reason people do stuff like that. I don't know. I want to build something great for my family, and I want to make sure that those in my orbit benefit from it. So I commend your dad. I think that's great. I would love for my daughter. We just had our first child recently, and she's 6 months old now. I'd love to do something with my daughter in the future. That'd be great.
Super cool.
Yeah. So regarding the next steps and really just wrapping up the thought on this particular project. So we talked a little bit about the different phases of the project, but what does the future hold outside of just this? Are you guys focused in on this particular process for the next 5 years or so, and then wanting to continue on in the hospitality space? Or are you looking to explore other options as well?
So I also started, I think this is our first full year. So we're going into our second year. she was a guest that stayed at the Mob House, and she got us a gift from the Cranberry Fest, because that's huge out here. And she's like, hey, I'm also a host. I love your home. I'm new to it. I'd love to just, chat, hit me up if you ever want to just talk shop. So I, of course, reached out and thanked her for the gift. And then we just started talking on occasion. Hey, what do I do? This guest is complaining about this. Hey, what do you think about this? Right. And it gradually turned into she wanted to leave her job and she wanted to do co-hosting. And I said, okay, well, guess what? I want to dive more into getting more into the interior design for the Airbnbs. I didn't know the business aspect of it that well. So when I did R2 Homes, I knew I was like, this is what I want to do, but I wasn't sure how to put myself out there and actually like get jobs. So she's like, what if we combine? And she's like, we offer it as let's upgrade your revenue by Jackie's design and let us manage it. So
you're saying you're a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah. So where I'm going with this is I am very, very busy with not just R2 Homes. We just signed, I think, our 6th home. Gosh. Yeah, out here. And I am now having to design like 3 more homes over the next couple
of months. To design 3 more homes? Look at you go.
So your question is where am I going? I think I need to just focus on the farmhouse, making sure that gets up and running. And then, our 2 other things with this land, but also continue growing with her, because I like this area, I've made a name for myself the way that I view it, because I can call someone and talk to them about it. And they're like, oh, the mob house, the cowboy house. We see that all the time. Oh, yeah. So people know my homes. People know that now I'm designing them and I also manage. And so it's kind of just slowly growing, because I've asked her to slowly grow, because I think she would be like up here and I'm like, these are really big houses. So we need to, kind of take it down. So,
yeah, but you're now partnering and collaborating to be able to, one, create more cash flow in other areas, which will fund the development as you go. But also by partnering and collaborating, you're now you're building that business and that team to where you both can operate in your zones of genius and not have to do it all. And then as you go from there, maybe getting some virtual assistants or people that can kind of help with some more of the accounting or the behind the scenes stuff and automation, and you're growing. That's what you're doing.
100%. Yes. She is all homeowners and guest relations.
Which you said you don't love anyway. So, I mean, I don't either. It's why I have a Ryan. He is great with guests when I want to go, why are you so dumb?
Yes. So, yeah, I think that's what we're doing. Yeah. Growing, but taking over the next 5 years, I think just this land is very important. And I don't get much help, like I said, from my family. My wife is, she travels basically the world for work. So that's why this all just kind of gets plopped on my lap. So,
and that's why you learn the deep breaths. Love it.
Yes.
So as we're wrapping up, and I know I found you because of Instagram, where can people connect, support you, follow along? Because I do know you're putting out some good stuff too. How can people follow along?
It would be on Instagram. That is my go-to. It's Jacqueline _DiMaggio. And then I did do a PDF for what I felt was important. And that's also on the bottom, just to follow along and learn more about the importance of experiences created by design and all of that fun stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll make sure to include that in the show notes. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, go ahead and the description, you'll be able to access it. And same goes for Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll make sure that that's included. Well, Jackie, it was really nice to meet you. It's great to meet a fellow Italian. It's always fun. So I wish you all the best on this project. And I'm really looking forward to staying in touch. I think maybe in the future, as you start to progress in this project, we can do an update, which is always fun. That's one of the things we'd love to continue to keep in contact with our guests, because they're all doing really cool projects around the country. And at some point, it's really going to be a cool network of people. So
I appreciate it. And I'd love to, hopefully once more is developed, definitely be able to show it and talk some more about it for sure.
It's amazing. Well, thanks again for your time. Really do appreciate it. For those of you guys who are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It makes a huge impact on our ability to reach a broader audience, and we obviously greatly appreciate the support. Along with that, if you guys are watching this in a podcast format, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. The more people leave 5-star review, the more reach we get online, and ultimately the more people that we reach, the more people will get inspired to take on their first real estate development project. So thanks again so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.